Michael Shellenberger is the founder of Public. Last year, he testified before Congress on the issue of free speech and the government's involvement in social media censorship. Want to read two things to you. This is from April 13th, 2021, Facebook to the White House. Courtney and Rob, making sure you also receive this message. We want to get ahead of this, but also want to make sure we are amplifying the right messages. April 22nd, that same year. From the White House to Facebook. We are excited to continue partnering with you on this work. We speak with other platforms on a semi-regular basis. We'd love to get into this habit with you, perhaps bi-weekly. And that certainly did indeed happen. Now Mark Zuckerberg saying that they would do things differently in the future. Do you think that's so?
Well, I certainly hope so, Dana. Good to be with you. And I mean, I think it's a huge step forward. It provides some closure to a really ugly part of America's history. The last several years, we saw the Biden administration behaving totally inappropriately. So big kudos to Congressman Jim Jordan, who's been steadfast in pursuing this issue. You know, one thing that Facebook did is they just ended up throttling a lot of news. And so you don't really get that churn of news that she used to get. But I mean, what you were describing there is a very intensive effort by the White House. We also saw it by Department of Homeland Security, a sweeping effort covering multiple agencies, covering many social media companies. It's really good to see it finally being out there, acknowledged. Of course, it was dismissed for many years as conspiracy theories. Also mentioned in there, of course, is the Hunter Biden laptop, which Facebook effectively spread misinformation on, as well as censoring. So it's a huge step forward. You know, I hope that we don't see that kind of pressure from governments again, but I do think, you know, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and we need to continue to keep our government and Facebook and social media companies accountable to not be censoring disfavored views.
Hey, Michael, good morning. It's Brett Baer. To your point, the Hunter Biden part of that letter reads in part, it's been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. We've changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the U.S. while waiting for fact checkers. You know, if you look back at this in this moment, obviously, then Vice President Joe Biden uses that in a debate, and that issue about disinformation, and it does change the dynamic of that story, how it's absorbed just days before an election.
Yeah, that's right. I think one thing to keep in mind, it certainly had an impact on me when I saw the story, was that when you saw Twitter and Facebook censoring that story, the message that was sent was that there was something wrong with it, that it was inaccurate. You saw huge abuses of power, first by the FBI in warning Facebook and others that some Russian disinformation relating to Hunter Biden was coming. That is a huge scandal in and of itself. You then saw the director of the CIA at the time approve this letter from 51 former CIA directors and other top intelligence officials claiming that the laptop had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. That itself was disinformation. So, yeah, I mean, you're looking at, I mean, really an extraordinary abuse of power by both the FBI, the CIA on COVID and other issues, by Department of Homeland Security. So I think we're still at the beginning of a reckoning here of really a panic that resulted from people's ability to get information from sources other than, you know, a few big media outlets that were favorable to the Biden administration. So, yeah, I think it's a huge step forward, but I think there's still more revelations to come too.
And so Mark Zuckerberg says he's not going to get involved in politics this year. At least he's not going to make any political donations. I also think that I don't know whether it's his decision alone or if he was advised to do it, but that certainly has had a backlash against the company for a while. But going forward, he says no more.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think it's important to remember that Zuckerberg was put under huge amount of pressure, both from Democrats in Congress, but also from a NGO boycott of advertisers. You know, remember, he originally said he wasn't going to censor, you know, even Holocaust denial. He said, as a Jewish man, of course, he, you know, finds it appalling, but he supported free speech. Well, he reversed his position after a huge advertiser boycott against him, which then allowed many of these activist groups to take control over the censorship apparatus at Facebook. They were trying and basically did the same thing at Twitter. And then part of what they extracted from him was this huge investment in the 2020 elections that was completely inappropriate. I mean, he says it was nonpartisan, though most people that have looked at it do view it as partisan. So, yeah, I think he's trying to recalibrate Facebook now after having succumbed to pressure and regretted it because, of course, he faced the backlash and this really important work that Congressman Jordan's committee did here. So, yeah, I think that, the lesson for all of us is just that, yeah, we can't really trust either the government or the social media companies to do the right thing on the First Amendment. It's really up to the public. It's really up to independent journalists to hold their feet to the fire, to investigate, to keep them accountable, because this temptation to censor is so strong. It seems like such an anachronism, but truly we see people having a kind of panic around the inability to control information thanks to the internet and social media platforms.
Yep. Michael, last thing real quick. I mean, this is a mea culpa from Mark Zuckerberg, but there's not a mea culpa from the administration or the FBI or anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge concern. I mean, you may know that we lost a Supreme Court case around this. Part of the problem is that the Supreme Court case was filed before the Facebook files, before the Twitter files came out. I think if the Supreme Court were deciding that case today, given Mark Zuckerberg's statement, they may rule very differently. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very concerned that if you see a Kamala Harris administration, that they're going to try to restart the whole censorship apparatus once again, maybe do some censorship laundering, trying to get, government-funded NGOs to do the dirty work so they can claim it's not covered by the First Amendment. So, no, I think we have to, remain vigilant in protecting our First Amendment rights.
Michael, thanks so much.
Great to have you this morning.
Good to be with you, Brett. Thanks, Dana.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.